Dear friends, today we are going to tell you about an incident involving a cruel king who burned 20,000 people alive in a fire. The story is set in the city of Najran in Yemen, where a powerful king named Dhu Nawas ruled. He had a skilled magician, whose magic was the foundation of the king's power. The magician used his powers to eliminate the king's enemies and suppress any rebellion within the kingdom. When the magician grew old and felt his end was near, he requested the king to provide him with a bright and intelligent boy to whom he could pass on his knowledge, so that the boy could continue to serve the king after the magician's death. The king agreed and handed over a wise and clever boy to the magician. The boy began to visit the magician daily to learn the art of magic. On his way, he would pass by a hermit who lived in a small worship house. At that time, the hermits were followers of the true Christian faith. One day, the boy noticed people leaving the hermit's worship house and inquired about who lived there. Upon learning about the hermit, the boy visited him and was deeply moved by his teachings. The hermit began to teach the boy about the true faith and monotheism, and the boy embraced the faith. From then on, the boy would stop by the hermit's place on his way to the magician, often causing delays. This angered the magician, who would beat the boy. The boy would excuse himself by saying he was delayed at home. Eventually, the magician complained to the king, who warned the boy to arrive early. The king's courtiers suggested that the boy might be playing along the way, so both the king and the magician scolded him severely. However, the boy continued to visit the hermit. One day, as the boy was returning from the hermit, he encountered a fierce lion blocking the path. People stood on both sides, afraid to move. The boy decided to test whether the hermit's faith or the magician's magic was true. He picked up a stone and prayed, "Oh God, if the hermit's faith is true, let this stone kill the lion." He threw the stone, and the lion was instantly killed. Witnessing this, the people praised the boy, believing he had mastered magic. The boy's fame spread far and wide. The news eventually reached the hermit, who called the boy aside and said, "My son, God has blessed you with greatness. I know your status will be elevated, but you will face trials. Remember, I am old and weak. Do not reveal my location to anyone." The boy promised, and the hermit was reassured. Through the hermit's companionship and the blessings of reading and following the Holy Gospel, God granted the boy great spiritual status. Soon, people with leprosy, blindness, and incurable diseases began to be healed through his prayers, and his fame grew even more. Hearing of his fame, the king's blind companion approached the boy with gifts and requested him to restore his sight. The boy replied, "I do not need any gifts, and healing is not in my hands. Only Allah can heal. If you believe in Allah alone and repent from idolatry, I will pray to Allah to restore your sight." The blind man immediately embraced faith, and the boy prayed for him. His sight was restored, and he returned to the king's court. The king was astonished and asked how his sight was restored when all the kingdom's physicians had failed. The companion replied, "My Lord, who created all of us, has restored my sight." The king angrily demanded to know who had taught him this belief. Frightened, the companion revealed the boy's name. The king summoned the boy and accused him of betraying the kingdom by abandoning the magician's teachings. The boy replied, "Healing is not in my hands or the magician's. It is Allah's power." Enraged, the king punished the boy severely and demanded to know where he had been spending his time. Under pressure, the boy revealed the hermit's location. The king arrested the hermit and threatened him to renounce his faith or be sawed in half. The hermit refused, saying he would never abandon his true faith and would endure any suffering. The king ordered him to be executed, and the hermit was martyred. The king then summoned the companion and gave him the same ultimatum. The companion also refused and was martyred. Finally, the king turned to the boy, warning him to renounce his faith or face the same fate. The boy refused, and the king ordered him to be taken to a mountain peak and thrown off if he did not relent. As the boy was taken to the mountain, he prayed for God's protection. Suddenly, an earthquake struck, and the king's men fell to their deaths. The boy returned safely. The king, shocked, asked where his men were. The boy replied, "My Lord protected me from their harm and destroyed them." The king then ordered the boy to be taken out to sea and thrown overboard if he did not renounce his faith. The boy prayed again, and the boat capsized, drowning the king's men, while the boy returned unharmed. The boy then told the king, "You cannot kill me unless Allah wills it. If you wish to kill me, gather all the people in a field, tie me to a stake, take an arrow from your quiver, and say, 'In the name of the Lord of this boy,' then shoot the arrow. Only then will I die." The king followed the boy's instructions, and the arrow struck the boy's temple. He placed his hand on the wound and died as a martyr, declaring, "I have succeeded in dying in the name of my Lord." Witnessing this, the people cried out, "We believe in the Lord of this boy." The king's courtiers warned him that while he had killed those who opposed his religion, now the entire population had turned against him. Enraged, the king ordered a trench to be dug and filled with fire. He commanded everyone to renounce their faith or be thrown into the fire. Many believers, including a woman with her child, were martyred. The woman hesitated, so the king ordered her child to be thrown into the fire first, hoping she would renounce her faith. The child encouraged his mother to remain steadfast, and she jumped into the fire without fear. The flames engulfed the king and his courtiers, burning them to ashes. It is said that God had already taken the souls of the believers before they were thrown into the fire, sparing them from pain. The boy's name was Abdullah bin Tamr, and it is recorded that the tyrant king Dhu Nawas martyred nearly 20,000 people in this incident. The lesson from this story is that when a person remains steadfast in their faith, God's help inevitably comes. Therefore, one should not fear temporary trials, but demonstrate unwavering faith, even if it means sacrificing one's life. This story serves as a reminder to remain steadfast in faith, trusting in God's protection and support.